GotLitLights.com. That's GotLitLights.com.
Insurance companies have teams of professionals to fight your claim. If you want to know what your case is really worth, I'm Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA filing number 16-7970.
WNXX Jackson, KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this football Friday. It means we're brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Got Jacob Beck and Jordan Kitchens back there on the ones and twos. Appreciate you hanging out with us as we close down the work week and get you ready for another weekend full of football. Kind of got a routine that we're working towards on Fridays. Kind of know what's coming throughout the show. Preston Guy always going to be with us at 1:15. We'll chat with him coming up in about 12 minutes. I'll go through the NFL games that are on the docket for Week 2, our NFL tiers. We want to talk about some matchups in this LSU and Florida State, LSU and South Carolina game. SEC picks against the point spread at the top of hour number 2. Got some take it or leave it, and then my final pick coming up at the end of the show. So lock us in wherever you may be. Appreciate you making us part of your Friday. Let's start with LSU and South Carolina. Before the LSU Southern Cal game, I gave kind of my big picture thoughts on the matchup, and that was it was going to come down to how well can USC throw it and how well can LSU run it. And I think that really was the theme of that game. USC was able to throw the football when they needed to late in that game and chew up big pieces of yards and then go and get touchdowns. And LSU wasn't really able to run it, and they weren't able to just do things as far as throwing the football. This game is very different from that, but I do think it looks very clear to me what the issues are that will decide this one between LSU and South Carolina. South Carolina has obvious strengths, and they have an obvious identity. Their strength is the pass rush. We know that. They are hellacious off the edge, and I think they're going to have a big year rushing the passer. Kennard and Stewart are fantastic, and those guys are the identity of their defense. Offensively, they want to be a power football team. They're very, very veteran on the offensive line. I don't know if they're immensely talented, but they're very old on the offensive line. And their quarterback is 6'3" and 240 pounds, Lenore Sellers. And then the running back, obviously Rocket Sanders, who we've known for years now from Arkansas, is a big physical back as well. He leads the SEC in forced missed tackles to this point. So that's what South Carolina wants to do. They want to run the ball, and they want to create havoc in the backfield. And so as I look at LSU, and you look at LSU's defensive front, it's compromised without Jacoby and Guillory. There's no question about that. Gio Pius is going to play in there, and then there'll be a different complementary piece depending on the piece of the game that it is, whether it's Jalen Lee, whether Ahmad Bro gets some time, they kick Paris Shan down, which Brian Kelly talked about yesterday. But you're still not great at defensive tackle. But I do think LSU's defensive ends are good. I think Savion Jones is good. I think when Shand is out there at end, he's good. I think that Womack, when healthy, is a good player. And I think that LSU at linebacker has some ability. Weeks and Penn and Perkins all going to be on the field at the same time. And I think you can slow down a running game with numbers. If you just put a bunch of bodies up in the box, I don't think South Carolina is so good up front that they are just going to churn through yards on this LSU defense. If that does happen, South Carolina will control this game. But I think LSU can use numbers to help slow the running game down. Okay, now what happens on the outside? Well, I don't have a ton of confidence in LSU's cornerback position. That much I've made pretty clear. Zy Alexander's getting a little healthier, and he's going to give you 35, 40 snaps in this game. And P.J. Woodland's growing up, and Ashton Stamps is growing up, and I don't trust those guys immensely. But I don't trust Lenore Sellers either. He's completed 10 balls in each of the first 2 games. He's not a great passer. He's a good athlete, and with that downhill running game, he's a very complimentary piece there to Rocket Sanders. But I don't think he's going to torch LSU the way that Miller Moss did, the way I'm terrified Jackson Dart may in a month. So I think that LSU can kind of take away to an extent or slow down South Carolina's strength there on offense. And I don't know if South Carolina is equipped to hurt LSU's weakness in the secondary with the quarterback that hasn't been very good throwing the football. And then you flip things around, and we just talked about the pass rush for South Carolina. I just don't think that's going to have a ton of success against LSU. I'm not telling you that Kennard and Stewart aren't going to each have a sack. They may, and that would be an upset against Will Campbell, who's only allowed 3 in 2 years plus. But they want to take over the game on the edges. They were so effective against Kentucky rushing off the edge that Kentucky basically quit throwing the ball. They ran it 18 times in a row at one point. And that's not going to happen for LSU. Like, you're not going to win that consistently against LSU's tackles. You may win once or twice, and if that results in a big strip sack or a deflected ball or some sort of turnover, well, that's a huge impact play. But if it's just a first down sack to make it 2nd and 19, well, that's not really game-changing play. South Carolina, in my opinion, can't affect LSU's quarterback the way they could against Kentucky or the way they probably will against Vanderbilt or the way there are some games on their schedule where those guys will wreck the opponent's game plan because they're good on the edge. I just don't think that's tomorrow. And LSU may not be able to run it. South Carolina's got some pretty good defensive tackles, and LSU hadn't shown the ability yet to run the ball, but I do think that LSU can win on the outside against South Carolina. And I do think Garrett Nussmeier has got the poise to go on his first road start in the league and deliver the ball on time where it needs to go. And I think LSU is going to move the football. That ferocious strength of South Carolina, I think LSU can neutralize with Will Campbell and Emory Jones. And I talked about it early in the week on Wednesday's show. This is the first time we kind of broached this topic of the South Carolina edge players and kind of how LSU will handle that. And my guess is that they're going to trust their best guys. Will Campbell and Emory Jones are 2 of the best 3 or 4 players on this team. If you can't trust those guys, then you're in big trouble all year, not just Saturday. So if it turns out that Emory Jones can't handle Kennard on one end, well, yeah, they'll have to help. If it turns out that Stewart beats Will Campbell twice in the first drive, well, they'll have to adjust to that. But I think they go to Williams-Brice on Saturday morning and they say, hey, 66 and 50, you 2 guys are one-on-one with them. We'll play the rest of their guys head up, but you've got to go win those. And while I do think South Carolina, as much as maybe anybody that LSU plays, is nearly equal on the edges to LSU, I don't think once you get beyond that, the matchup favors South Carolina really anywhere, because I like LSU's wide receivers. I like LSU's quarterback. I think if they can get the running backs out in space, they can make some plays. And South Carolina, I just don't think is a great football team. Last week might have been, for South Carolina, an announcement that this is a pretty damn good football team. It may have been. It certainly wasn't 2 weeks ago against Old Dominion, but last week may have been. It also may have been that Kentucky sucks. It may have been. And I'm not sitting here suggesting that LSU set the world on fire against Southern Cal or Nichols. But I entered the season thinking South Carolina wasn't very good, and I'm not going to let 4 quarters against Kentucky, who I don't really know anything about, change that. Now, you go out there and you play LSU head up and you rip off the edge and beat those 2 first-round tackles and get 5 or 6 sacks in this game, and you beat LSU by 10 points, okay, I'll pay attention. I'm happy. Well, I won't be happy at that point, but I'll change my opinion. But as of right now, I sit here and I look at South Carolina, and I look at that roster, and I look at what they were last year, and I go, I'm not ready to just fully trust those guys at this point. I think LSU can neutralize South Carolina's strengths by loading the box on defense and then blocking with their first-round tackles. I think South Carolina has some trouble exploiting some of LSU's deficiencies, and that would be passing defense, which I don't think South Carolina is going to exploit. So I like the matchup for LSU as we sit here on Friday afternoon. I've waffled back and forth on this game all week. I've kind of tried to break it down from every different angle, and this is finally where I settled. I looked at it and I go, yeah, it's cool to look at the stats and the numbers that suggest South Carolina's pass rush is fantastic, and Stewart's a 5-star recruit and a top 20 player in the country, and I mean that's a guy that's going to have an incredible career at South Carolina, and Kennard's been a good pass rusher for a long time. But Jones and Campbell are dudes. And you can complain all you want about the fact that LSU hasn't run the football, and certainly I'll put my hand up, I've done that. But they pass block. LSU was throwing it They're in the top 15 in the country in passing attempts, and they have not allowed a sack yet. I don't think South Carolina's getting 5 more tomorrow. If that happens, you tip your cap. That's a heck of an effort. I just don't see it. I think LSU is going to do a great job protecting Garrett Nussmeier, and that's when I think they create the advantage on the outside with the wide receivers that LSU is able to put out on the field, and I just don't think South Carolina is going to run with them. So those are my kind of opening thoughts on LSU and South Carolina. There are some more matchups I want to get into. One that we haven't really talked about at all. We'll do that at the end of the first hour. I actually wrote it over at louisianasports.net. I think the punt game is a very interesting aspect of this game. I'll tell you why coming up here in about 45 minutes from right now. Get you ready for the NFL weekend at the bottom of the hour. Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, is going to join us next, talk some football right here on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, AVSSLA.com is the website. Look, nothing's more important than the security of your home and your family. And for us, the Palmer House, we trusted Mitchell Fisher and his team at Audio Video Security Solutions with our security system. Got a couple of cameras mounted, got all the windows and doors censored, got an app that can activate and deactivate the alarm remotely. We can 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, see video of our front yard and our backyard, front door and back door. We can pause, rewind, not paying any cloud storage fees. It's been fantastic for us. The quality of the picture on this app is fantastic. And Mitchell Fisher and his team did it all for us. And the customer service after the installation has been fantastic. If you don't have a burglar alarm, if you don't have cameras around your home and you want that, well, AVSS is your one-stop shop. Give Mitchell Fisher a call. It's 225-439-7920. That's 225-439-7920. Audio Video Security Solutions would love to come out to your home, set up shop, make sure that you are safe and secure. It's Audio Video Security Solutions. Check them out online, avssla.com.
There's nothing chill about a hot, sweaty line. Unless you add mountain cold refreshment. Coors Light. Choose chill.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today. Or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have.
Welcome back to the Hunt Palmer Show. Here's your host, Hunt, the uniform czar, Palmer. Which uniform do you hate now?
I like that rejoin. Last night's NFL uni game with the Dolphins throwbacks.
Oh, that was good.
Was just fantastic. The Bills are probably my favorite uniform in the NFL. Somebody sent me the 49ers and Cowboys, which was a really good matchup.
Yep.
Saints white color rush is very good.
Oh, very good.
But yeah, last night with the Dolphins throwbacks and the Bills is about as good as you can do from a uniform perspective. All right, let's talk some LSU, South Carolina. Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, with us every single Friday, here with us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Preston, how we doing?
Good, Hunt. What happened to our deep voice announcer guy, and why is this new chick giving you the uniform czar as if it's some sort of title?
That is my title. It's been officially bestowed upon me by me. I make all decisions and am factual with every opinion that I give on uniforms. I am the foremost authority on all things uniforms.
Gotcha. I like the deep voice guy better, knowing that now.
Yeah, that's above my pay grade. I don't know when those things happen, but I'm good with it. It works out just fine. All right, Preston, let's talk some LSU first. How big a loss is Guillory?
About the second biggest you could possibly take on the team. Maybe third if you count like Will Campbell. I think Nussmeier, especially given how the season's playing out and you don't really have a running game and a lot of your offense is Nussmeier's right arm. I think that he definitely would be your biggest loss, but Guillory might be your second. You're going to have to change things now. It just, you have to give more support. You're probably going to have to go to more 3 linebacker situations simply because that was already a weakness, but you had one bright spot at that position that you felt really great about, and now he's gone, and he's gone for the year. So major blow for Blake Baker. I refuse to sugarcoat this loss in the least bit. They're going to have to make some changes, and ultimately the defense is going to give up more points than yards because of him being gone.
So what do you think the best thing to do is at defensive tackle?
Well, you're going to have to rotate guys, get them fresh, and you're going to have to hope and pray that Dominic McKinley becomes a full-grown man before our eyes, because I think Dominic McKinley is the one who has the size and strength and potential to shine. In watching him at practice and what I've seen so far, he's just not quite ready yet. And people think it's an easy position to get on the field early because your assignments aren't hard, and that's true. It certainly is, but the fact of the matter is you have to be a grown man to play defensive tackle. You got to have that full-grown man strength, and you got to know how to play with a lot of good technique and leverage, and a lot of these things, it's muscle development and muscle memory that really play such a strong role with these things. So that's kind of the hope here. I do think you're going to have to play more 4-3 or maybe even a 3-3-5 situation instead of a 4-2-5.
You look at this South Carolina offense, Sellers is big dude back there, and we know about Rocket Sanders as well. How concerning is the South Carolina running attack to you?
Yeah, especially with losing Guillory. We saw what Guggenheim did last week. I'll say it was more so blown assignment than guys getting blown off the ball. When you're watching film, you always want to see if something goes wrong, please let it be one guy blew his assignment, not one guy blew his assignment, one guy got blown off the ball, one guy, you don't want it to be multifaceted. You want one simple, hey, there's your fix, right? So, yeah, it's definitely concerning. I think South Carolina's going to score some points on you. You just got to kind of have a bend, don't break mentality with it.
The story of the week has been the linebacker situation and Kelly's quotes about Weeks not coming off the field. How do you think that rotation looks and works?
Yeah, I don't know how they've been rotating Weeks in and out a bunch. I don't know how they do that unless they shift to a true 3-3-5 base formation. Maybe that is a change. We haven't been at practice. We don't know. I've heard some buzz about maybe shaking around linebackers at other spots, maybe trying linebackers at that star role because you're not getting a whole heck of a lot out of it. What's concerning about that star role is a lot of times that star position is lined up against a slot receiver. So you really want someone with some legitimate man-to-man cover skills, or at least some good zone coverage on a quick receiver. So I don't know. I would suspect that losing Jacoby and Guillory will lead to some big changes schematically. I think that it's that kind of loss. So I'm excited to see how they adapt and what they do on Saturday.
Slip things around to the LSU offense. Brian Kelly pretty adamant in his Monday press conference that it's not a situation where LSU's not physical enough to run the ball. The boxes are just too packed. You watch the tape. I mean, what do you see with this LSU running game?
Yeah, that was my focal point in watching the tape. I try to, when I do film studies, like, what's the burning question of this week, right? And it was multifaceted what the issues were. It was more blocking. There were 4 missed running back assignments, 3 of which came from Caden Durham. So that's just, you chalk it up to you put an 18-year-old kid out there and he missed the hole. But most of it was missed block assignment or a sloppy pull. This team's overall not a great pulling team, especially from their tackles. Will Campbell had 2 absurdly ugly pulls. And I think a large part of this goes to, you got to simplify your running scheme. It's one of those things, I think when you have a smart young coordinator, he realizes he can draw up a scheme, and just because he's got this perfect scheme where if he does a counter tray and two offensive linemen pull, you have a good matchup where you get to whack the linebacker and then whack the safety, and you should have a big run. But I think a lot of coordinators don't have the feel for what their team can pull off. Sometimes you just need to run an inside zone and get, a simpler assignment. Your tight ends are whiffing on blocks. Your linemen are whiffing on blocks. Mason Taylor missed 2 blocks, including one very ugly block that would have put Caden Durham in space with downfield blockers. He just whiffed on the end. The end came unimpeded and knocked him out on a sweep. So I think you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, this is not a team that is very disciplined when it comes to run block assignments. You have to simplify the system. You maybe reduce the amount of running play calls that are called and just have a base set. Maybe consider doing some under center where you can have a more dynamic set of play calls. You can run to more sides without it being choppy. So I think the running game needs some changes, and they need to change in the direction of simplicity.
Are you comfortable with LSU being a pass-heavy team?
Yeah. I think that, I came to that conclusion halfway through USC that, that this is not a team that at this current time is going to be a team with an identity of balance and running the ball well. I think that you need to run the ball just efficiently enough to convert your short yardage situations, just efficiently enough to set you up with some manageable down and distances, and just efficiently enough to keep them honest. I remember back in the day, Gary Croton, I'm showing my age here, Gary Croton used to call the short side option with Jordan Jefferson and whoever running back du jour was. And he's like, well, guys, that play not may be working well, but you don't understand what impact it has on the defense. And it was like, it had no impact. They weren't adjusting to it, and you got 3 yards or 2 yards. You weren't getting any yardage. Defenses aren't adjusting to plays that aren't gaining yards, period. That's where you have to get. It's just good enough to make them account for it, and it opens up other things. So, yeah, I think this is going to be at least a 60 to 70% passing team moving forward.
South Carolina's pass rush has been really good through 2 weeks. Does that concern you, or do you think LSU neutralizes that?
Well, I'll say this. That's been the one area where LSU's offensive line has excelled, is pass blocking. So I think LSU's got some good matchups. I do think they have a pair of first-round offensive tackles, especially if they could clean up their run blocking. But, yeah, it should be fun. I don't think Nussmeier is going to stay as clean as he stayed the last couple weeks. And, worth noting, their best pass rush comes from their 2 edge rushers, yes. Right? It's the interior that LSU, when it has struggled on pass blocking, has struggled, and most struggles on the interior. A blitzing linebacker, DJ Chester, didn't identify, and he came unimpeded through the A gap, and that's what happened on 4th and 3 on the 3-yard line against USC, and ultimately cost LSU a chance at overtime. Once it was all said and done, is if you block that guy, Nussmeier has time, he's cooking. You got to take care of stuff. So yes, I like LSU's matchup. Is the short answer.
You think LSU wins tomorrow?
I do. I think this is going to be a really close one. And I think that it's going to be frustrating simply because you're going to watch this LSU team and you're going to see they have more talent, more resources and all that good stuff. But, the identity of this team has been they've struggled to make plays when it matters. And I think that that's going to make it unnecessarily close. I think it's going to be late game dramatic type stuff. I think Nussmeier will get his first SEC road win.
I have zero respect for UCLA. I don't think they're good at all. And obviously South Alabama is not a game that I'm super concerned about before the bye. So if LSU wins the game tomorrow, I think they're in good shape getting to the Ole Miss game with just one loss. If they lose, what does that mean?
Yeah, if they lose, you have no margin for error against Alabama or Ole Miss. I think that's a tall order to ask this team to go 2-0 in those games and take care of the games you should win, like Texas A&M and all that good stuff. I think zero margin for error for a flawed team like this, that's a tall order. So, in my opinion, I believe if they lose this weekend, I think playoff hopes are pretty grim. They go. I'd say right now you have a reasonable percentage chance, somewhere 30 to 40 chance to make the playoffs, because you take care of business there, and you take one you shouldn't against those teams, and you take care of business. You could go 10-2. I think if you lose this one and you're at 2 losses, what are the odds this team, goes on to win? What would that be? 9 straight games, including Ole Miss and Alabama. I think they're all but out the door. We'll just put it at that and let it suffice.
He's here every single Friday with us. He's on Tiger Bait's YouTube channel every single Monday evening talking football. Preston Guy, TigerBait.com. Thanks, man. Have a great weekend.
All right, Hunt. You too. See you soon.
Sure will. Preston, Mike Scarborough, the crew do a great job over at TigerBait.com. Go ahead and check them out. Check out the YouTube channel as well. Appreciate Preston always giving us a few minutes there on Fridays. Our Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. If you're looking to watch LSU tomorrow, got a crew coming over. Looking to watch the Saints on Sunday, got a crew coming over. Corks is a fantastic game day catering option. They can feed in bulk. If you just got a big Hester-sized family, they can feed that. If you got 20 people coming over to watch the game, they can handle that as well. Crispy fried catfish, jumbo Gulf shrimp, crispy shoestring fries, fantastic honey butter rolls. They got the beignet bites as well. Awesome, awesome stuff over there at Corks. You can go by and get some lunch today, get some dinner this evening, or get a crew together, watch football this weekend, and watch with the folks over at Corks. They can also feed the office. If you're somebody that's in charge of getting lunch to the entire crew someday during the work week, Corks happy to help you with all of that. We appreciate them for bringing you our Friday shows each and every week. When we come back, we'll get you ready for the NFL slate coming up on Sunday. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Was out at LeBear's Baton Rouge last night. Fantastic environment, awesome game watching experience. It was a little bit of a shocking game, and I lost my first half bet, but it was still a great time out there at ESPN Bet at LeBear's. I want to remind you about Cover 5. You download the Cover 5 app. You can compete against me. My picks are already up on my Twitter, so you can go check that out. You can enter the code LABRSEC. That's LABRSEC24, and you can pick the SEC games, pick 5 of them. You can get some points based on how much or little you cover by. It's fantastic. It's a fun game to play each and every weekend. There's season-long prizes as well. If you're not a member, you can get the Penn Play app today. LeBear's Baton Rouge, your live sports headquarters. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966 for help.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has back-to-school savings like $16,000 off 25 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $16,000 off. All new Bayou vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
Hello, Kim Mulkey here. When I have construction and roofing needs, I call my friend Ryan Terrio and the Parish Construction and Roofing team. I sleep good at night because I know the Parish team has my back. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs. And remember, always do business with someone you know.
Parish Built from your hometown. Parishbuilt.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show with former Texas A&M Yell leader, Hunt Palmer. Giga Maggies.
Man.
You like that one, Hunt?
Wow. Former Texas A&M Yell leader, huh?
I mean, you did it, Hunt. You did them live on radio.
I did do that. And then we lost.
Yep.
Very sad. But funny at the time. It's just one of those deals you just never really know. Like Matt called me. It was Thanksgiving week, obviously, because LSU played A&M the last week of the season. And he called me on like Tuesday and was like, hey, can you be a Yell leader on Friday's show? And I was like, sure. And then we never really talked about it. And I remember calling him on Thursday night, coming back from Shreveport on Thanksgiving. I was like, are we doing that? He was like, yeah, we'll do it. So I was like, all right. So I just kind of thought of like an Aggie joke and then thought of kind of what I would do. And we didn't really have a script or anything. And I just came in here and it just kind of worked. Matt was in stitches. And man, it would have been a lot better if LSU didn't go out there and just get it absolutely annihilated by a crappy Texas A&M team.
Yeah.
24 hours later, but
not great.
Not super awesome. Let's set the table for the NFL schedule. Y'all know how it works. 4 tiers. Unfortunately, I got a lot of action in the lower tiers this week. Only one in Tier 4, but Tier 3 is loaded, which is kind of not that great football action. But we'll start in Tier 4. Bad stuff. The Panthers are in Tier 4 until further notice. That performance last week was just atrocious. The Chargers are headed to Charlotte to take on the Panthers. The Chargers have not started 2-0 since 2012. They will this year because they're going to beat the Panthers coming up on Sunday. All right, Tier 3, a lot of football in this tier. The Colts are at the Packers. Anthony Richardson completed 2 passes last week that traveled over 60 yards in the air. That's the first time since they've been able to track that in 2016 that that's happened. You're going to see Malik Willis at quarterback for the Packers. I don't expect that to go super awesome. The Jets are at the Titans. Will Levis has not been very good. 59% completion is the worst in the NFL over his 2 seasons. Look, the Jets are 0-9 against the spread in their last 9 short weeks. That may be something to keep an eye on there as they head to Nashville to take on the Titans. 49ers at the Vikings. Minnesota under defensive coordinator Brian Flores leads the NFL in blitz percentage. Brock Purdy leads the NFL in yards per attempt against the blitz. He's been very, very good when teams have blitzed. Shanahan puts him in great situations, and I expect the 49ers to go to Minneapolis and get a dub. Seahawks are at the Patriots, who went into Cincinnati and won last week. Patriots have beaten every team in the NFL in the regular season since their last win over Seattle in 2008. It's a weird stat, but I kind of liked it. Beating everybody else except Seattle over that time. They'll get an opportunity to do that at home this weekend. The Giants are at the Commanders. This is one of the funniest stats I've ever seen. Since signing a $160 million contract extension, $160 million, Danny Dimes has thrown 2 touchdown passes and 3 pick sixes. He has thrown more touchdowns to the other team than his team since he got $160 million. Wow, it's good to be a quarterback that teams believe in, even if they shouldn't. Trevor Lawrence has not been very good. He and the Jaguars are going to host the Browns. Trevor Lawrence lost 6 straight starts, and his QBR over that time is 48. He has not played very well, not kind of taken the next step to be a dude for the Jaguars, which is a little bit surprising. We're still in Tier 3. I don't think any of these games are must-see television. The Raiders are at the Ravens. The Raiders allowed 176 rushing yards to the Chargers last week. I would imagine Derrick Henry going to get a pretty sizable workload for that Baltimore team against a bad Raiders group. The Steelers are at the Broncos. This is Justin Fields versus Bo Nix. Nix threw 49 times in the opener, and half of his completions went for 4 yards or less. Not in the air. The gains were 4 yards or less. Sean Payton has got him dinking and dunking all over the place. They got to stretch the field a little bit more. That's it for Tier 3. Up to Tier 2. This is some better action on Sunday. The Bucs are at the Lions. It's a playoff rematch. Interestingly, because the Lions played the Rams last week, they're the first team ever to start the season with 2 straight playoff rematches. The Bucs are 8-1 against the spread as underdogs the last 2 years, so we'll see what they can do there in Detroit. The Rams are at the Cardinals. Division matchup, which is not good for the Cardinals. They are 1-11 in division games since 2022. They have lost 8 in a row. You want a good way not to make the playoffs? Lose all your division games. That's what the Cardinals are doing at this point. Bears and Texans, I think, is interesting. The Bears might be bad. They didn't look great in that fluky win over Tennessee. The Texans might be really good. It's the Sunday night game. The Bears are 3-14 on the road the last 2 seasons. Only Carolina has been worse than the Bears, but these could be 2 really exciting young quarterbacks, Caleb Williams and C.J. Stroud. It could be a good one on Sunday Night Football. And Tier 1 has got 1 game in it. It is the Bengals at the Chiefs. Burrow versus Kansas City in the regular season is completing 79% of his throws and has no interceptions. The Bengals have won both of those games. All 4 times Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes have played each other in the playoffs or the regular season. The games have been decided by 3 points or less. It's been classic stuff, and they'll renew that battle coming up on Sunday. That is setting the table for your NFL slate.
Where would you put the Saints and Cowboys?
I would put the Saints and Cowboys in Tier 2.
I was thinking that,
If I was putting the Saints in. I probably would have had it in Tier 3 as of a week ago, but the way the Saints played in the opener, I think that there's reason to think that they might be pretty good, and I think we all think Dallas is good. I don't know if they're going to win the Super Bowl, but they have a good team, and they've been great at home over the last couple of years, so I would probably put that in Tier 2. Jordan, how are we feeling about the Black and Gold's chances to go into Dallas and come out 2-0? That doesn't sound like a lot of confidence to me. Doesn't sound like a lot of confidence.
The only reason why is because Nick Underhill tweeted like 10 minutes ago that Lattimore and Fuaga did not practice today.
Yes, that's true.
That's a little concerning. Not really Lattimore, but Fuaga in general, when you have, DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons coming off the edge like bats out of hell.
Yeah.
So that is a huge problem.
We thought that LSU had their hands full with edge rushers. The Saints have their hands full with edge rushers this weekend.
So I'm scared.
Yeah, I saw the quotes on Twitter that folks are tweeting out saying that Fuaga's got some back tightness. Dennis Allen says he, quote unquote, feels good. I'm not sure. Lattimore doesn't need to practice. Fuaga would help if he did. I mean, it's going to be his second NFL game. But we'll see it. You got a little bit more time. You got 2 days to get those guys ready to roll. We'll break down the game a little bit more in the second hour. I've got some thoughts on it, but I've been critical of the Saints all offseason. That's not been a secret. I have not felt great about the roster. They were really, really good on Sunday, and the Panthers might just be the worst team in the NFL, and that's maybe even likely. But to go out there in an NFL game and be up 30-3 or something, I mean, it was something ridiculous in the first half. I mean, that's real stuff. So I'm hopeful that the Saints can put together a really good performance, and maybe they'll give us a little bit better fall than we were anticipating as of a week ago. Or myself. I shouldn't speak for everyone, but I personally was thinking this was probably a team that was going to hover right around 500, if not a tick below it.
You know how I felt. I thought we was going to be terrible. So, I mean, this is – well, it's the Panthers. Again, I hate saying that. I hate being – because, they're still an NFL team. But Dallas is really going to show, are we really legit?
will Bryce Young be a starting quarterback in the NFL midway through next season?
Man, I would like to see the odds on that. The odds on that would be kind of crazy. Do I believe it? I don't know, because they look terrible. Like I didn't really when I watched that game.
He looks lost.
Yeah.
I mean, that dude was awesome in college. Like he terrified me. He made plays. He made he was incredible in college, and he looks like a dude who's never been on a football field when he's out there. He's inaccurate. He's hesitant. He's seeing ghosts. Like it's just awful the whole time he's out there. Beck, what do you think about the Bryce Young Halloween of next year as he is starting quarterback in the NFL?
Man, I wonder, because people are saying, I mean, at least from what I've been hearing, is that the quarterback class for this upcoming draft is not exactly the most stellar. Like, there's not a Caleb Williams, I think, in there. So I wonder, even if the Panthers are the first pick, if they would go quarterback right there, right after Bryce Young. I've only had him for 2 seasons. I think he's still starting next year.
Okay. I mean, it's what is the quarterback crop? It's Carson Beck. It's
Shador.
Quinn
Ewers.
I mean, if Bryce Young plays this year like he did last week, you have to take a quarterback. I mean,
maybe, yeah.
You can develop after a bad first year. If you've put 2 full seasons out there and it just doesn't get any better, like the odds, in my opinion, of you figuring that out are terrible.
Yeah, not great. But again, the Panthers just all around have a very bad team. The offensive line is horrid. And whenever you have a young quarterback behind a bad offensive line, things don't really go well very often.
That was my main takeaway, though, Hunt. I didn't see one thing the Panthers did well at all. Like, there's not one
and
moment
I thought they would get the Saints offensive line trouble. That was kind of my thought. They didn't do.
They got washed out. They made Trevor Penning look like not a liability. He looked like the franchise right tackle.
Oof, I don't know if
you look at that.
That's not a good matchup Sunday.
Michael Parsons, God bless.
It's one of those deals where Michael Parsons is going to walk out on the field and Penning's out there. He's going, hey, Trevor, my name's Micah. We'll get to know each other quite well over the next 3 hours because I'm going to be right next to you all day.
My thing is, though, Hunt, so God willingly, if Fuaga's gone, what are we going to do? What? Because Trevor Penning,
is Landon Young the left tackle?
Oh, but it's like, what DeMarcus Lawrence and Michael Parsons?
In a pretty loud building. So we'll see. I give the Saints a shot on Sunday. We're going to talk about it in the second hour. I give them a shot, but not the best week of NFL matchups, which you would expect. They're going to definitely give you some really good ones in week 1, and they'll pick things up. But I had a lot of pretty mediocre matchups in the NFL coming up on Sunday, but excited for it. So we'll get into more NFL in the second hour. All right, when we come back, I've got a matchup that we have not talked about really at all this week, and I think it could potentially change the game between South Carolina and LSU. I'll tell you what that is coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports, EvolvePT.com. If you've been in an accident, you've been injured playing sports, maybe you slept wrong, you're dealing with chronic pain, if any of that applies to you and you're trying to get back to being your active self, Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports needs to be your first stop. They're right there on Starring, near Highland Road. They're close to Sammy's Grill. Go on by and see Robbie Bolton and his team. Robbie's been doing this for 2 decades, and he's got a great team, and they're going to be incredibly hands-on from the time you walk in to the time you leave. Their goal is to get you back to being your active self. They're not going to hand you a list of exercises, say, see you next week, we'll see how you're feeling. They're going to be with you the entirety of your visit, making sure that your body is getting back to normal. Pain sucks, whether you're a youth athlete trying to get back on the field or whether you're an aging person that wants to get back out to running, lifting weights, playing golf, whatever the case may be. Get rid of the pain. Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports can help you with that. Again, Robbie's been doing it for 2 decades, worked with a number of professional athletes, LSU athletes as well. He's happy to work with you. It's Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports. Check them out online, EvolvePT.com, EvolvePT.com.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
All right, closing up shop, hour number 1 here, Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Our broadcast schedule tomorrow, a little bit shaken up for the 11 o'clock kickoff, so we'll start things here under the Guarantee Media roof at 7 a.m. Charles Hanniger and Matt Musso from right here in studio. Eagle 98.1, game day 7 to 9. 9 o'clock, hand things over to the LSU Sports Radio Network. That is me, Brandon Taylor, and Marlon Favorite. I'll be with you from 9 o'clock until 10:30 when we throw it to the broadcast team over in Columbia. They'll have the call of the game 30 minutes after it goes final. LSU Sports Radio Network post-game show fires up for about an hour and 90 minutes after the game goes final. Charles Hannegriff and Richard Dixon from Rouse's, Burbank, and Lee will be with you for 3 hours post-game, an extended version of the post-game show, taking your phone calls on Eagle 98.1 Game Day. So we'll be on the air from 7 a.m. till probably about 8 p.m. On Eagle 98.1, simulcasting right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. If you missed this, our broadcast schedule on Fridays does shake up a little bit here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Still off the bench 7 to 10, but then live at lunch cranks up an hour early from Rufino's 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock. I'm my normal 1 to 3. Matt's at his normal 3 to 6. And when Matt's done, he'll hand it off to Louisiana Prep Preview with Cade Wassan and his cast of thousands. They'll lead you up to Catholic High football. Got St. Thomas More tonight. Big game between Catholic and St. Thomas More. And after that one goes final, they'll be right here in studio for Louisiana Prep Scoreboard. So live and local from 7 a.m. till about midnight here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge on Football Fridays. It's a great, great, great time of year. If you've been listening all week, we've talked a ton about Lenoret Sellers and Rocket Sanders. We talked a ton about Garrett Nussmeier and Jacoby and Guillory, and we talked a ton about the edge rushers and LSU's tackles, and a lot of those matchups have been talked about. And there's one that I find particularly interesting in this game because I think it could be a game-changing matchup here. South Carolina has an All-American punter. Kai Kroger is fantastic. 2 years ago, he was a first-team All-American punter. And then last week at Kentucky, he was the SEC Special Teams Player of the Week. He had 4 punts of over 50 yards. And South Carolina's punt coverage team did a really good job of getting down there and making those stand up. The Cats only managed 20 total return yards on 3 tries. And the last couple of years, LSU hasn't even tried to return punts. They had 7 last year. And you just essentially, because of the muffs early in seasons in 2022 and 2023, LSU been like, all right, we're calling fair catch. And like last year, your offense was so good, why would you even force it to try to get a punt return when all you need to do is catch it and let the offense take it 80 yards like they were going to do just about every time they got the ball? So that was LSU's strategy. Well, you've seen now through 2 weeks the playmaking ability of Xavier Thomas. He just about busted one against USC. He got a little bit loose on a kickoff return last week against Nichols. He is an explosive playmaker. He returned a punt for a touchdown against Georgia at Mississippi State. He returned a kickoff for a touchdown against Texas A&M while he was at Mississippi State. He is really, really explosive. And if you're telling me that South Carolina's punter is going to continue to kick the ball 50, 52, 55 yards, Xavier Thomas could get a chance to make a play there. And like Beamer, he was a special teams coach. His dad's Beamer ball, the whole thing. Like, they really prioritize the special teams game. But Xavier Thomas is going to get one here at some point. Like, he's going to return something for a touchdown over the course of this season. I'm very confident in saying that. I gave my 5 bold predictions before the season started back when we were in training camp. And I said, look, Xavier Thomas is going to get one. And you've seen that explosive ability early on in the season. And I think you're going to see more of it with Chris Hilton out and Kyle Parker out on the offensive side, but it's there in the kick returning game. And if LSU can force South Carolina into some punts, which isn't a guarantee because they hadn't been great on defense, but if they can get South Carolina into some punts, I'd like to see Xavier Thomas get 2 or 3 cracks at trying to make a punt return for a big play, because that's a potentially game-changing moment. I mean, we can go back to the games that have been flipped by huge special teams plays. The 2011 team had a couple of them. Obviously remember Tyrann Mathieu had the punt return against Arkansas that completely flipped things. Same thing happened the next week against Georgia. But also Morris Claiborne had a kickoff return for a touchdown in West Virginia that completely flipped the momentum of that game. West Virginia was at home. That crowd was rocking. Geno Smith's throwing the football around. They got Tavon Austin. Like, that play, I was there that night. That place was on springs because West Virginia had gotten within 1 score, and then boom, Morris Claiborne runs a kickoff back and it's lights out. You hear a pin drop in that place when that happened. South Carolina is going to be fired up in this game. That's going to be a raucous crowd. They're going to play their 2001. They'll do Sandstorm, the whole thing. They're waving the white towels, all that. And it's going to be an intimidating environment for LSU, but big plays like that can completely flip the momentum and silence things and make things a lot easier for you. So I think if South Carolina's punter is going to be aggressive and try to boom it 55 yards down the field instead of kicking directionally, you better watch out, because Zero's got a chance to make you pay in a big, big way. He's done it in his previous career. I enjoyed my conversation with Xavier Thomas earlier this week. We got him for player interviews back on Wednesday, and he was saying that when he was watching the film of the USC game and he saw that he just got tripped up, he just got depressed. He's like, oh my gosh. Like, you could still, like, it hurt him physically to relive watching that tape. He didn't necessarily notice in real time that he was that close to busting it. But when he turned the film on and saw that lane open up and saw where he was and he just got tripped up by that one hand, he was just crestfallen that had happened. And I think he's going to get his opportunity. Maybe it's against South Alabama, one of the less athletic teams on LSU's schedule. Maybe it's in a big spot like this, and I think that's an absolute opportunity for LSU in the punt return game. So if there is a punt return opportunity in this game and Xavier Thomas does bust it, you'll hit me up on Twitter. That happens every once in a while when I make a bold prediction. How do you feel about my special teams takes there, Beck?
Well, we as you mentioned, we had Xavier Thomas. We both agreed that he would get a couple of touchdown punt return
or
a kick return
and a kick return.
Yeah.
Which is aggressive because kick returns don't happen very
It is, but I mean, this is a prime opportunity, like you said. I mean, he's looked really good. He's looked really good. Anytime he's got the ball, he's looked really explosive. So
I yearn, and I think we have it now, so I don't have to yearn anymore. But I have yearned for the playmaker back there that puts some fear into the other team. Like, all this fair catching stuff, LSU could do better than that. LSU has got 15 guys on every roster that can return kicks for touchdowns.
Yep.
And there's no reason to send a walk-on back there to fair catch everything. I don't want to do that. Like, find somebody you can trust to catch the football and go make some plays. I want Patrick Peterson back there. I want Trenton Holiday back there. I want Odell Beckham back there. I want Xavier Thomas back there. I don't want to walk on back there fair catching. That irritates me as someone who's supporting the football team, and I think they finally figured it out. I mean, they thought they had it with Aaron Anderson last year, and of course they sent him back there and he muffed the first one. And it's not like they were putting guys back there that were muffing the kicks that are like risks. Like Jack Besh was not a risk back
Malik
there.
Neighbors.
And Malik Neighbors is the leading receiver in the history of the program. Like they weren't being risky. It was just
cursed.
It was I don't have a better word for it. Just serious misfortune that LSU was running into. Now hopefully those days are long gone.
Do you think we've been cursed since Jonathan Giles?
I can't put it all on him.
I don't want to put it on Jonathan Giles.
I can't put it all on Jonathan Giles. But look, you mentioned like Malik was the guy that got this thing started. He's the most decorated receiver we've got. Yeah. So, well, not the most decorated, the most accomplished. The most productive, as it were. All right, that's it for hour number 1 here on a Football Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. A lot of LSU football talk in today's show. If you want to listen to that, you can find it on demand. Hunt on LSU on YouTube. Also got you ready for the NFL season. If you missed any of it, you can find it wherever you find your sound, whether that's 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Anywhere you have sound, you can search Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, and review. Second hour is going to be fast-moving, as usual. We'll make my SEC picks against the spread. We've got to break down the Saints and the Cowboys. Got to play some take it or leave it. And we got to get my final pick for for this weekend's games. If you listen to my opening segment, you probably have a reasonable anticipation of where I'm headed for the LSU and South Carolina game. I'll be quite honest with you. I have to make a pick on Saints-Cowboys in 1 hour from right now, like right this very second, and I don't have it yet. So I've got an hour to come up with that exact pick. But we'll talk about it in the second hour. We're going to pause for SportsCenter, get you caught up on national headlines. We'll be back with our final hour of the week. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has back-to-school savings like $16,000 off 25 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $16,000 off. All new Bayou vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
You can't win a championship without playing defense. Go to parishbuilt.com and sign up for the priority emergency list and man up on this storm.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel says fans and the media should not pressure quarterback Tua Tagovailoa to retire. Tagovailoa suffered his 3rd concussion in 2 years last night against the Bills. McDaniel held a news conference earlier today.
I think it would be so wrong of me to even sniff that subject, and it's more in line of actually caring about the human being.
Mike McDaniel, who says the only focus now should be on Tagovailoa's health. Steelers quarterback Russell Wilson is questionable for Sunday's game against the Broncos. That means Justin Fields will likely get another start. The driver charged with killing NHL player Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew had a blood alcohol count of .087, slightly higher than the legal limit in New Jersey. The Gaudreau brothers were riding bicycles when they were allegedly hit.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming on Monday as the Falcons get ready for Monday Night Football. I'll tell you why fans should be concerned about Kirk Cousins. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
All right, let's rock and roll. One more hour to go for the Hunt Palmer Show this week. Working towards the weekend. Hope it's been a good one for you. I hope you're done with the work week, but if you're not, we'll get you to the finish line here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got take it or leave it coming up in 30 minutes. I got a final pick for Saints and Cowboys, as well as Tigers and Gamecocks. But for right now, it's time to go into some SEC picks against the number. Had a rough week 2, Beck. Rough week 2, 4-8
Not
in
great.
week 2. So we're right now sitting at 13-14 on the season. We got to get back over 500. It starts today. Well, the picks today, the actual games tomorrow. Start at 11 o'clock, Alabama and Wisconsin. It's a 16-point number. The Badgers were in a dogfight with South Dakota last week, which is not very encouraging. Tyler Van Dyke is only completing 60% of his throws against subpar competition. Like, I don't expect the Wisconsin run game to be very good against Alabama. If Milroe just protects the ball, I think Alabama will do enough to get away with a win here. So give me Alabama minus the 16. I was laying way too many points last week. I'm not doing that this week. I am laying them with Alabama, though. Boston College and Missouri from Columbia, Missouri. 15.5 is the number there. Luther Burden and Theo Weiss, really, really good at wide receiver. Boston College's defense was very good against Florida State. Now, I think Cook is better than Uiagalelei, okay? So this is not an apples-to-apples comparison, but I do think that BC's well-coached. I think Bill O'Brien's a good coach. I'll take the 15.5 points up there at Missouri with Boston College. Give me the Eagles. All right, Tulane's at Oklahoma. That's a 13-point number. Tulane probably should have beaten Kansas State last week uptown, and Oklahoma was trash against Houston. So I feel like this is a sucker line, a sucker play, but I'm going to be the sucker as usual, and I'll take Tulane. I will take the 13 points. It feels like a one-score game. If you told me that Oklahoma beat them 40-10, I probably wouldn't be shocked at that either. But give me Tulane plus the 13. Crazy stuff going on for A&M and Florida in terms of the quarterbacks. The number on this game is 3.5. Florida is getting points at home. All eyes are on the quarterbacks, Lagway and Mertz at Florida. Who gets to play? How ready is Mertz to play? Is Lagway the guy? We'll see. And Connor Wigman is very questionable for Texas A&M in this game. Marcel Reed is their backup. He redshirted last year. He might have to play his first game there in the Swamp. I'll take the home team and the points here, 3.5. It feels like a really tight game. Give me the Gators. I don't like taking the Gators because I think they stink, and I'm not sure A&M's very good. If they got a backup quarterback out there, I'll take the points. So give me Florida plus 3.5. UAB is at Arkansas. This number is 23. UAB got smoked last week by ULM, 32-6 in Fun Row. That's poor.
ULM's not good.
There's no shot I'm taking them against Arkansas. I'll lay the 23 points against a team that can't be competitive with the Warhawks. All right, 5:30 kickoff. Ole Miss is at Wake Forest. 20.5 is the number. Jackson Dart is playing out of his mind. Wake lost a tough one, 31-30 to Virginia. This is going to be kind of the first look we get at Ole Miss's defense against a functional team. I don't think Wake's very good, but I don't care if you're shutting out whoever the heck they played the first 2 weeks. If they show up and can hold Wake to 3 points, 6 points, 10 points, that would be kind of a statement. And I think Ole Miss's offense is going to cook every single week. Give me the Rebs. I will lay the 20.5 with Ole Miss. 6 o'clock kick, UTSA at Texas. UTSA lost 49-10 to Texas State. I realize it's a letdown spot. Texas had a big win in Ann Arbor, and they're coming back home to play a team from right down the road that nobody cares about. But Texas is just way better than UTSA. They're probably going to score 50 points. UTSA was not competitive with Texas State. Forget it. Give me the Longhorns. Vanderbilt's at Georgia State. Short number here, 10. In Atlanta. Why is Vanderbilt going to Atlanta?
Come on.
I don't know. Give me Georgia State.
No
the 10
way.
points, baby.
Oh, my gosh.
We like that. I don't even know what Georgia State's mascot is, but I'm taking them to 10 points. Give me Georgia State. Georgia, the Bulldogs are at Kentucky.
They're the
that
Panthers.
number is the Panthers. We'll take the Panthers. Love the Panthers. Georgia at Kentucky. 22 is the line. Kentucky's offense looked atrocious against South Carolina last week. I mean, how many points are they even going to score on Georgia? I don't know. The Dogs are probably going to score 40. Give me the Georgia Bulldogs at Kroger Field. I will lay the 22. New Mexico is at Auburn. Hank Brown's going to start for Auburn. A lot of Jarquez Hunter in this game. They're going to run the football a ton with a new quarterback. Peyton Thorne's going to take a seat. The Lobos gave up 35 to Montana State and then gave up 61 to Arizona. That is not a good defense. Auburn's going to cover the 27. I will lay them. I'm laying more points than I thought, but I'm laying these here. Toledo's at Mississippi State. That number is 10.5. State's offense is fine. They've just got to stop the run. They didn't do that, obviously, in a step up in class last week with Arizona State. I don't think a team from the MAC is going to pose too much of a threat. It's only 10.5. I'll lay those 10.5 points. And this is the lock of the century. This is the biggest lock that ever existed in the history
You mean
of
like
locks.
Oklahoma last week over Houston?
Exactly. But
That didn't hit?
This is the biggest lock I've ever seen.
Okay.
Kent State is at Tennessee. Tennessee is laying 49. Kent State lost last week to St. Francis. I don't even know what that is or what level they play on.
That's a Division II team, I think.
They don't run the offense quite as well as the Vols do. 49, I would lay 60 here, no problem. Easily 10. This is going to be 70-3. Like this will be a rocking chair cover of 49, guaranteed.
Not a look-ahead spot for against the got to go on the road to Oklahoma next week.
Let me repeat myself. The Golden Flashes of Kent State, Nick Saban's alma mater, lost to St. Francis last week. Do you think Tennessee is even going to punt once in this game? No, the answer is they will not punt. They will go right down the field whenever they want, at whatever pace they want to. They will score at least 70 in this game. This is easy money.
All right, just like last week, Hunt. Oklahoma.
Last
easy
week
money. Lock of the week.
When I against the spread last week went 4-8.
Yeah. Easy.
All right, so those are my picks. Bama minus 16, BC plus 15.5, Tulane plus 13. like the Gators +3. So I took three underdogs right there. Then I got heavy on the favorites. Arkansas laying the 23, Ole Miss laying 20.5, Texas laying 35. Give me Georgia State against the Doors. I'll take those 10 points. Give me Georgia by 1 billion over a bad Kentucky team. Give me Auburn to roll New Mexico. Mississippi State to get by Toledo by enough. And then I'll take Tennessee in the lock of the century of all time. So that's I mean, I might put a lot of money on the sports book. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah, birdcage those. Yeah, no, those. I don't. I'm not very. I don't have a very good outlook for this week again. Yet again, just too many favorites. Vanderbilt.
I'm not taking Vanderbilt.
Come on, Hunt.
We've created a vendetta against Vanderbilt.
Oh my God.
I don't even know how it happened.
I don't either.
I think Clark Lee seems like a swell fella.
He's a good coach, Hunt.
He might be, but he's got bad players because he's at a school where you can't get any good players.
Yeah, but they've got a good win against Virginia
Georgia
Tech.
State, the Panthers. I've been a Panthers fan all my life.
Yeah.
Love Georgia State. Didn't they just start playing football like a couple years ago? I think they
Maybe.
Don't they play at Turner Field?
Yeah, they do.
Why is Vanderbilt going there? Why are you playing a road game
That's a good
at Georgia
question.
State?
I have no idea, but it's not.
Pay them to come to you.
I guess they have trouble doing that at Vanderbilt.
And then you look last night. What was that? Arizona? Was it San Marcos playing Texas State? You shouldn't be there. Don't go there.
Yeah, not a great look.
That's not great. All right, let's see how those go. I think that might be an undefeated week. Might be my first undefeated week. That's what we're hoping for. All right, when we come back, we'll talk Saints and Cowboys. I almost said Panthers. That's in the rearview mirror. Saints and Cowboys when we come back on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services. BoudreauxElectrical.com is the website. Neil and Melissa have been running things for 40 years. I shorted them a decade there. 40 years running Boudreaux's Electrical. And you understand why that home standby generator from Generac is such a need. Because of weeks like this where you've got power outages all over the state, it's such an inconvenience. Got to find somewhere to sleep, or you sleep in the hot house that's dark and quiet. That's just no way to live. We have power outages down here all the time due to hurricanes, due to those afternoon storms that come through every summer afternoon. Got ice storms that happened back in January. Protect yourself from those power outages with the folks at Boudreaux's Electrical. Every single Generac home standby generator that you buy from Boudreaux's Electrical comes with a 7 to 10-year warranty based on the type of generator that you purchase. They will customize that generator to your specifications in terms of square footage and how much you need. It could be if you're a homeowner or if you're a business owner and want to make sure that your business is powered all the time. Boudreaux's Electrical can help you out with those commercial needs as well. You can call them the 985 at the same number they've had for 4 decades. It's 397-1562. Again, 985-397-1562. Or you can find them in the 225 New Gonzales location, 300-9389. 225-300-9389. That's Boudreaux's Electrical, BoudreauxElectrical.com.
There's nothing chill about a hot, sweaty line. Unless you add Mountain Cold Refreshment. Coors Light. Choose chill.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial properties. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Injury news coming out of Saints practice today. There's been a lot of attention on that for good reason. There's a lot of big-time names that have been on that injury report. Not seen at practice today. Marshawn Lattimore, Colin Saunders, DeMarco Jackson, Isaiah Foskey, Taliese Fuanga, and Brian Brzee all out of practice. It is good news that Tyrann Mathieu did return to practice today. He had missed some time earlier in the week, but we weren't thinking that he was a significant risk not to play. But I think the biggest three names that I see on that list are obviously Marshawn Lattimore, Taliese Fuanga, and Brian Brzee. You really need all of those guys for different reasons in this game. Lattimore gives you, obviously, as good a cover guy as you've got, and they've got a pretty good receiver over there in Dallas by the last name of Lamb that you'd like Marshawn Lattimore to spend a good amount of time with. I think Brian Brzee is growing into a really, really good player in the middle of the Saints' defensive front. So you would like to see him get back into action. And then Fuanga is something we talked about at the end of last hour. That's a guy you've just got to have, because if you're going to go play the Cowboys with Trevor Penning and Landon Young on the edges, I don't know how you even scheme that. Like, the guys did a good job last week, but that's with Fuanga anchoring the left side. If you've got a situation where you've got a journeyman at left tackle and a project at right tackle, and that's kind of being kind at this point, you're going against two guys with a lot of Pro Bowl designations by their names and some All-Pro designations by their name and Defensive Player of the Year designation by their name. So the injury report is a big, big deal in this game. We'll see a little bit more. We're probably an hour away from the actual injury report being released, and we'll have some more information there. We won't be able to use it, but Matt certainly will on his show. But that's a big, big deal in this game. This is what I talked about earlier in the week with the Saints and the Cowboys. I equated it to a bad golf analogy. There's a gambling game in the golf world where if you make a birdie, you don't get to cash in on that birdie monetarily unless you par the next hole to validate the birdie. Meaning you gotta back it up. Show me it wasn't a fluke. And that's where we are with the Saints right now. Like, last week was a birdie in golf terms. That was probably an eagle in the golf terms. I mean, they were awesome from start to finish on both sides of the ball. Just a complete performance against Carolina. And so if you want me to believe that that's more so because the Saints have found some identity on offense and are still really, really strong on defense, you're going to have to show me against a better team than Carolina. And that's the point that we bring to the table here on this Sunday. Dallas is good. They went on the road against a good Browns team and controlled that game in Cleveland. Now, say what you will about Deshaun Watson. Maybe he's terrible. I don't know. But Cleveland's got a good defense, and they were a good team last year, and Dallas went up there and laid them to waste. So you come back to Texas, where they are a really tough team to beat in Arlington, and if you can show me that you can go score 28, 30 points on this Dallas defense in that building, I'm going to start buying. You go out there and win this game, I think, regardless of what happens across the rest of the league, across the rest of the division, if the Saints win in Dallas by 1 point, they become the favorite in the NFC South, in my eyes. You show me that type of performance in week one, and then you back it up against that team, you're the favorite in the NFC South. And that's a quick about face from me, the guy that told you 2 weeks ago that this team and organization were in a pretty bad spot. But that's how quickly things can change. Maybe, and we talked to Luke Johnson about this yesterday, and he didn't want to go as far as to say that the scheme last year was bad. That's the question I asked him. Like, was their offensive scheme just bad last year? And he kind of backed off that a little bit and said, no, I don't know if it's bad. It's better with Drew Brees at quarterback. And most systems are. But you got to evolve. And we looked at that graph earlier this week about the best play callers in week 1 in the NFL. And you look at that top 10 list, and it's just littered with that Shanahan tree. It's littered with the McVay tree. These guys are on the cutting edge of offense. And clearly that's what the Saints wanted to get. And it looks like through 1 week they have. So I'm hopeful that with Taliesin Fuaga out there playing, we get all the information. If you go out there and Fuaga's not playing and Landon Young and Trevor Penning can't block those two ends, I'm not going to really call that an indictment on Clint Kubiak. Like, that's just a mismatch. Dallas has a mismatch there. But if Fuaga can play, then it's more of a fair fight. And then let's see what Derek Carr can do. Is Derek Carr the guy we saw for the last month of last year once he finally got healthier, and then the guy we saw last week? Or is he the same old mediocre quarterback who was in a bad situation in Oakland and then Las Vegas and now has come to New Orleans and hadn't really improved upon anything? Like, it'll be such a revealing weekend, such a revealing game for the Saints and where they are. Because, and like, it's not like you go to Dallas, if you lose by 7, like, I don't think anybody's going to come back here crying. Like, that's not that big a deal. It's a 17-game season. It's a game you're an underdog in as long as you're competitive. Okay. You go out there and you get your butt kicked, and all of a sudden we really frame our conversation a lot differently than we've been talking this week. It's just there's so much at stake in terms of things that we can learn and the way we view this team. And you can say that for a lot of teams around the NFL. But I certainly think it applies for the Saints. So, like, we've talked about it a little bit. I'll give my final pick at the end of the show. But, Jordan, I kind of want your thoughts on how good a chance you give the Saints to go to Dallas and win. We talked about it a little bit in the first hour, but, like, let's work off the assumption Fuaga can play. If he can play, what chance do you give him?
If Fuaga can play, obviously we're not going to be as clean as we was last week. But if Fuaga's playing and, the defense shows up, which I'm expecting. Defense is going to show up. Yeah, they're going to show up. Man, 7 out of 10, because it's the NFL. Anybody can be beaten. So it's not like college football, their players are very, like, no. Everybody's on the same playing field. So 7 out of 10, I think we can beat them. And it's very possible. Because Dallas, they're
Do you think today that the Saints are the favorite to win the South?
Kirk Cousins looks bad. Kirk Cousins looks bad.
Didn't look good.
But the Buccaneers look really good.
They did.
Buccaneers look – so, but we all knew it was going to be us and them. Everybody.
I picked the Falcons to win the division.
Oh, don't do that. I get it. But I just wasn't believing a 35-year-old off of Achilles.
Yeah.
It was just going to, we'll see as the season progresses. But us and the Buccaneers, most definitely.
All right. It's going to be interesting. I think as far as keys go, and again, I'll give my pick at the end of the show, the first key is you got to deal with the two edge players from Dallas. And you assume they're going to be on the edge. I know Parsons moves around a ton, but I think in this matchup, if you're Dallas, you don't want Parsons spending a lot of time working against McCoy when he could be working against Penning. Like that's you're not going to put him inside where the Saints are a little bit stronger, so they're going to give him a little bit of room. But the Saints have got to deal with that, and I think the best way to deal with that is to do what they did last week and run the football. You've got to get the ball to Kamara, you got to get the ball to Williams, you got to let Taysom Hill play, and you got to attack them up front, run blocking. We all think that the Saints are their offensive line is best suited in the running game. And so if you can have some of the success that you had last week, all of a sudden that pass rush is not all that effective. Like you're fine. So if they can get the running game going early, that'll allow Carr to take some shots. And it didn't take him long to get Shaheed on a shot play against Carolina. That's in the plan every single week. And Dallas can be susceptible to some of those big plays. As far as the other side of the football goes, when Dallas is on offense, Dak is really a pocket guy now. Like, he can move a little bit, but he's not the runner that he was at Mississippi State and he was early in his career. He does far more of his damage from the pocket. Saints have got to get after him there. And I like the Saints' rush ability. I thought Chase Young looked awesome last week, even though the stat sheet isn't full. The impact was there. If you were watching the game, you were watching him make life pretty miserable for a lot of Panthers offensive linemen and kind of disrupting some plays. I like Granderson on the other end, and I hope that Brazil didn't practice today, but hopefully he's in there. And I think that you've got to get some pass rush going against this Dallas team. As far as Lamb goes, like, I like a matchup that the Saints have. Like, even if it's not Lattimore, like, I like a Debo.
I like all of them.
Yeah, they can go out there and play. You just got to make sure that he doesn't go bonkers. He'll get some, but the Saints are built to kind of slow down things on the edge and on the outside, and so I think that's a positive matchup for New Orleans. Dallas is really tough in that building. It's going to be a difficult game for the Saints to go win. We're not going to have quite enough information to make a fully educated pick because the injury report is so littered. I mean, you're talking about Dallas has a question mark at tight end as well with injury. So it's there's a lot of big chess pieces that may or may not be on the board, and that's a big deal. But this is it's not nowhere near a must-win game for the Saints. You're fine even if you don't win it, but it could be so telling.
Okay.
You could learn so much if they go out there and play well.
You kind of already answered the question I was going to ask you. The question I was going to throw at you was, is it a little too early to say this is one of the most important games of Dennis Allen's coaching career?
It's too early, yeah.
Last week was.
Last week sure.
was.
Okay. No one expects the Saints to go these next 4 weeks like 3-1.
We need to, though.
Well, no, I don't think so. I think they need to go at least 2-2. Getting that first one is so big, but now these next 4 weeks
if the Saints go 3-1 the next 4 weeks and they are 4-1 through that stretch,
yeah, that's just
they are a threat to win the conference.
Yeah, yeah. So no one expects that. So if you can go 2-2 and at least 1-3 to just keep the boat from sinking.
There is no terminology that is more often incorrectly used than must win.
Yeah,
it's all the time. I love him to death. Sharif Ishaq will throw must win out there all the time. He'll throw a Pelicans must win out there in January. I'm like, I promise this is not a must win. And so this is nowhere near a must win for New Orleans. But if you do, all of a sudden it changes the math in a big way, changes the perspective in a big way. I mean, I was ready to start nailing the coffin down here as of preseason, and I'm not there now. And that could only be because the Panthers are the worst team in the league. And it could be because the Saints are a lot better than I thought. So I did pick them to win 9 games because I see some spots where they can win some games. I don't like my Eagles pick as much as I did earlier. I thought that the Saints would beat the Eagles, and the Eagles look pretty damn good in the opener. So Saquon looks pretty good in a functional system. But we'll see if they can go win on Sunday. That'd be a monstrous win for the black and gold. So Saints and Cowboys at noon on Sunday. We'll give our final prediction at the end of the show. Got a crazy story from minor league baseball. We got some college football things that we got to talk about, and that'll all come up next in Take It or Leave It on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, Jonathan Carbo and his team, fantastic people. Of course, they're going to be heavy on the claims side this week after a hurricane rolls through. But if you're looking for a different solution for your insurance at your business, Highland Insurance Group needs to be your one shop. Because Highland Insurance Group has a belief fundamentally that your insurance broker should be a trusted piece of your team. Just like an attorney that you hire, just like a CPA that you hire, your insurance broker should be that type of integral part of what you're doing, because you're trying to prevent catastrophe here and make sure that you're covered and protected in the event that something happens. And the time to go dive into those policies to see what the coverage says isn't after the cyber breach or after the hurricane rolls through or after the car accident. You got to make sure you're prepared ahead of time. And that's what Jonathan Carbo and his team are so good at doing. They're not the folks that you're going to call to save 15% tomorrow. They'd love to do that for you, and they've certainly got markets available, and they'll shop your insurance. But the point is to be covered. So when the hurricane rolls through, you don't have to worry whether or not there's going to be some catastrophic loss. You can be covered and protected from the folks at Highland Insurance Group. HighlandIG.com is the website, HighlandIG.com. It's Jonathan Carbo and his team right here in Baton Rouge. Highland Insurance Group. Check them out online, HighlandIG.com.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
We're Rev Business, a local provider with nearly 90 years of experience. So when it comes to business in Louisiana, we know that personalized service is key. And we're here to go the extra mile with all fiber solutions that deliver what every business needs: reliability and quality. We're not just providers. We're the local team dedicated to helping you succeed. True partnerships are homegrown. Rev Business, internet, phone, managed services. Visit us at letsrev.biz.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
All right, 30 minutes to go here on a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We're brought to you every Friday by the folks over at Corks. CorksFishandShrimp.com is the website. Man, they got fantastic food over there at Corks. If you're one of those folks that says, man, I'm from South Louisiana, I'm not going through a drive-thru for my seafood, just try Corks once. That recipe was born right here in the seafood capital of the world, South Louisiana. It is fantastic stuff. The catfish is clean, it's crunchy, it's crispy. Gulf shrimp are huge. Golden battered French fries, crispy shoestring fries. They got all your sauces. Got your cocktail sauce, your tartar sauce, ketchup. They've also got their Cork sauce. It's got a hint of a kick to it. Great, great, great stuff over there at Corks. And if you're always looking for a po' boy, you're like, where can I get a good po' boy? Corks has a fantastic po' boy. I was talking to my guy Glenn West last week. I mentioned this. He's like, man, I'm glad you turned me on to that Corks place. I was looking for a po' boy. That's some good stuff. And Glenn's a New Orleans guy, so it's not just it's just a token appreciation. He thought it was great, and Corks is fantastic food. So get on by and see him. They're on Government between Foster and Jefferson's. CorksFishandShrimp.com. All right, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
All righty, first one here. Georgia cornerback Daniel Harris was arrested for reckless driving, not wearing a seatbelt, operating an unregistered vehicle without a license plate, driving without proof of insurance, and having illegal window tint. Since January of last year, that's now more than 24 driving incidents involving Georgia football players and staff. Kirby has to take away the licenses. Take it or leave it.
I mean, I don't think you got to take him for the whole team. Let me go through this again. He was not wearing a seatbelt, driving an unregistered vehicle with no license plate, no proof of insurance, and illegal window tint.
Yep.
Why don't you just fire a gun out the window too? And what are you doing? How much attention can you draw to yourself? That's brutal. I mean,
it's tough.
I can only imagine Kirby calling Daniel Harris to come into the office and be like, what the hell are you doing? I'm confident. I can't say I'm certain because I'm not there. Kirby has got to have had 7 or 18 meetings about this. Like, guys, can we just use the pedal, the accelerator, and the brake properly, get from place A to B, and stop with it? I don't understand why they're doing all that. I mean, look, I was plenty young and plenty stupid in my time in college, but like, it's the same thing over and over and over again, and it killed a guy and a staffer on their team. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to believe, but it keeps happening. But we'll move on to the next one here. The Minnesota Twins released catcher Derek Bender, their 6th-round pick this year, after he tipped minor league opponents the pitch that was coming during at-bats of a game with playoff implications, sources told Jeff Passan and Kylie McDaniel. Take it or leave it.
I mean, I got to leave this. I got to take that they released him. I'll take that. I mean, I cannot believe this story. I read this earlier today. This guy, 6th-round pick out of Coastal Carolina, in the Twins system, in Single A, is telling opposing hitters as the catcher what pitches are coming because he didn't want to make the playoffs and wanted the season to end. You know who is probably not super pumped about this? His teammate pitchers who are trying to get to AA and AAA in the big leagues, and the catcher's back there in a squat going, hey, heater's coming here. How about you don't do that, Chief? I'm trying to move up in the organization.
It makes me think of Space Jam, the original one, when Michael Jordan is playing and the catcher is telling him what's coming. It's like, is this really happening?
It's like the Sandlot catcher.
Yeah.
Here comes Noel number 1. I mean, that's just... This guy's never going to play again. Like, he got released. He's never going to play again. Now he's got to go get a real... He got like a $260,000 signing bonus. Now he got to go do something else. Like, it's just... mind-numbingly dumb. Like these decisions people are making. Let's not do that.
You would think it would be easier than it is, but apparently not for these guys. But next one here, Sandstorm. Take it or leave it.
Again, just like with uniforms, I'm the foremost authority on all of traditions in college football and the SEC as well. Okay. I'm the utmost authority. I'm going to take it. I think it's good. I think it's fine for South Carolina. It's a little new age, but it's their thing. I'll take Sandstorm. They're going to play a lot of it tomorrow. There's going to be a lot of towel waving, a lot of Sandstorm action. I'll take that. I think it's bordering on a little hokey, but it's their thing. I'll give it to them.
Yeah. Next one, the 2001 South Carolina entrance. Take it or leave it.
This one I'm going to leave. Like, some people really like it. I've seen it. I was there in 2008 when they did it. It just didn't really hit home for me. They bring this big, huge cage out, and the mascot, like the person mascot, is like shaking the cage and stuff. It's kind of, it's just it's over the top. It's beyond Sandstorm. I don't like it.
Could you imagine bringing a live tiger into a football stadium? Like, how stupid would that be?
And look, there may be people that think calling Baton Rouge is stupid, but I think of like the song traditions in stadiums, calling Baton Rouge is awesome. Dixieland Delight works great in Tuscaloosa. I love the Won't Back Down at the beginning of the fourth quarter for Florida. That works incredibly well. I was there in 2020 when it was empty, but they still did it. It was really cool. Those songs really work. 2001 is just kind of... It feels like a high school team would play that before they came out for a basketball game or something. It just doesn't. Maybe. It doesn't. It's just my opinion on that. So I don't love it. But speaking of those two things, and so I'll talk about this briefly. Like, this is going to be an electric environment that LSU's walking into tomorrow. I mean, it could have been real sleepy in that place if they had gotten waxed by Kentucky. But now with game day coming in, LSU's is still a powerful brand despite what the talent level on this team is. That place is going to be hopping tomorrow when LSU walks into it.
It is.
They need to be prepared for that.
That's one thing that I was kind of worried about, and I mentioned it in our staff picks for the game. I think South Carolina's going to come out like with their hair on fire. And if they make a few plays early, then that place is going to be absolutely rocking. But last one here, Graham Mertz has started his final game at Florida. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. I think he'll probably start tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I think he'll be the starter until he either gets hurt or the play is just unacceptable. Now, Lagway's going to play. We've got a quote up on LouisianaSports.net in one of the stories that Steve Spurrier said, I don't really care who starts, but Lagway needs to play.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's something to you could try to play the psychological game and be like, I think they're that Napier's going to tie himself to Lagway, and even if they lose games, we'll say, oh, yeah, but look, this guy is playing well, so don't fire me. I don't know that Florida's going to make decisions like that. You can't just pin your entire football program on one guy, but he's clearly very talented. But Mertz was pretty productive last year, and Florida still lost a bunch of games. So I think that Mertz will play. I think that Lagway will play. And if the scales tilt significantly or somebody gets hurt, obviously, then things will go that way. But they're going to try, I think, do both moving forward. So that's it for a little take it or leave it here on this Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We got basically one thing left to do, and that one thing left to do is pick these games. So I'll come back and talk a little bit about LSU and South Carolina, kind of put a bow on everything, and we'll get my final selections coming up to end our show. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Come back and close things out on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. I always talk about the renovations and remodels that they do and how modern things look and how fantastic the process is with One Bath and Closets, and it is. One of the things I also talk about a lot is safety, and it can be really, really important. Bathroom can be a hazardous place, especially as folks age a little bit. And so if you want non-slip floors into a loved one's bathroom, if you want handrails around hazardous areas, if you want walk-in tubs, if you want benches in the shower, all those things that could make the bathroom a little bit less hazardous for someone who's aging, David Duvall and his team do this kind of stuff all the time. You can go to their website, onebathandclosets.com. You can get that free consultation right there on the homepage. You can also see testimonials. You can see pictures of their fantastic work. And you can start that process with the folks at One Bath and Closets. I can promise you this. They're going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. That is David Duvall's promise to you. So if you're looking for a new bathroom, new closet, safer bathroom, One Bath and Closets needs to be your one-stop shop. Head to the website, onebathandclosets.com, onebathandclosets.com.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, hosted by the Goo Goo Dolls' #1 fan, Hunt Palmer.
The NFL is back. Tune in Sunday at noon as the Packers host the Colts, followed by the Bengals and Chiefs at 3:25. Hunt's Tier 1 game, as he mentioned earlier. And the Bears and Texans at 7:20 p.m. Your home for the NFL is 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. And we've also got Draw to 100, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and Shell are excited to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Tiger Stadium with our Draw to 100 sweepstakes. We're giving you the opportunity to join the VIP-style celebrations on October 12th for the Ole Miss game. Sign up today at 1045ESPN.com. We'll live stream the drawing on October 10th. And the 100th name drawn will win Stadium Club seats, sideline passes, and autographed memorabilia. It's the Draw to 100 sweepstakes presented by Shell, the Rhythm of Louisiana.
I'm looking up Goo Goo Dolls tour dates now.
There you go.
You had it in the drop.
Gotta do it.
I'm assuming they're still out and about.
Of course.
Yeah, there's something that says a tour now. It's taking forever to load, but I've never seen. I want to see the Goo Goo Dolls. I need to go see the Goo Goo Dolls.
You got to do it now.
I mean,
yeah.
the top 5 musical act of all time.
Absolutely.
You got to see that. It's like the Beatles.
Michael Jackson,
Taylor Swift,
Elvis,
Michael Jackson, Elvis, and the Goo Goo Dolls.
Yep.
That's basically where we are. Tour won't. Their website's not super functional.
Well,
surprise,
considering it's a band from the
kicking it in '96.
Late '90s.
Goo Goo Dolls, what an incredible band. They should be at halftime of the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
Somebody sent me that on my Q&A that I did during the hurricane earlier this week. They should be. They should. Who is it? Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar. Yeah, everybody's upset because it wasn't Lil Wayne, who's obviously a New Orleans.
He is a New Orleans guy.
Artist. But I still think I think he is going to be involved in the show. Maybe he's not the headliner, but we'll see. But yeah, people are not very happy about that.
It should be the Goo Goo Dolls. All right, let's see. They're coming to Huntsville, Alabama, Sunday, September 29th.
Okay.
They're going to be in Cape Town, South Africa, coming up in December. I'm probably going to miss that.
That's interesting. You think they got a big fan base over there in South Africa?
Pretoria, South Africa.
Wow.
So
South Africans like them some Goo Goo Dolls. Apparently.
Ernie Els loves the Goo Goo Dolls.
Yeah.
Big Goo Goo Dolls. Got him and Louis Oosthuizen. Can't get enough.
Charles Schwartzel, they love him.
Charles.
Can you imagine Charles Schwartzel and Louis Oosthuizen being at a Goo Goo Dolls concert?
Yes,
That'd be hilarious. I could. That's the funny thing about it. It actually makes sense.
Stagecoach in California. They're not coming to the Gulf Coast anytime soon. Huntsville's a little far north. Maybe I'll catch them next year on their world tour. But we can certainly hope. Interestingly enough, we're about to pick these games. But I as I look at the Saints and Cowboys and I look at the LSU and South Carolina, this game is basically the exact opposite for our two local teams. The Saints kind of get a free swing at this. Like, if they win, it's huge to win this game and to feel like you've got a real chance to make a push and be a division winner and a playoff team. If you lose, well, you're an underdog, you went on the road, you're 1-1, you come back home. For LSU, they go win this game. It's not a huge deal, but it does open up a path to get to that bye week with one loss and probably set up a really good environment for LSU and Ole Miss on that Saturday night in Death Valley. That's if you win. If you lose, we have to completely change the prism through which we view this football team. And you could even suggest it to the program. Now, I'm not going to go there right now because they haven't lost. But if they lose and you've lost to Southern Cal and you've lost to South Carolina and you still have Ole Miss and you still have Alabama and you still have to go to A&M and you still have Oklahoma, I mean, all of a sudden, it's a pretty easy sell for me to tell you that this team is going to lose 6 games. Like, that's not out of the question at all if you can't go win this game. So for the Saints, okay, free swing, go get it. Let's see what we learn. For LSU, like, you better go win this. And so it's a completely different approach to Saturday and Sunday. I expect both environments to be really, really, really good. I think that South Carolina is going to pack a ton of people into Williams-Brice, and after the headgear pick and the sandstorm and the 2001 inches, like, it's going to be on spring. It's going to be up to LSU to handle that. And then Dallas is always a tough place for anybody to go play. The Saints are going to have to handle that. Before we get to the picks, I do want to set our broadcast schedule for Saturday up for you. We've got Eagle 98.1 Game Day starting up at 7 o'clock in the morning. Charles Handegriff and Matt Musso will be right here in the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. They'll go from 7 to 9, a shorter 2-hour pregame show. They'll hand it off to me with the LSU Sports Radio Network at 9 o'clock, and we'll take you till about 10:30, so about 90 minutes there. We'll toss you to the broadcast team. They'll have the call of the game. Then 30 minutes after the game goes final, you can find myself, Brandon, and Marlon on the LSU postgame report. And then 90 minutes after the game goes final, you can hear Charlie and Richard Dixon from Rouse's over there on Burbank and Lee for 3 hours on postgame for LSU in South Carolina. So we'll go from 7 in the morning on Eagle 98.1 simulcast here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge from 7 a.m. to probably about 7 or 8 p.m. So long day of coverage, and we got you locked in. So if you're getting up early and knocking some things out before kickoff, you can listen to Charlie and Musso, and then myself, Brandon, and Marlon. And then late night after the game goes final, we'll certainly be there covering it all as well. Rest of today is all set up for you. Matt Moscona is going to drive you home on After Further View from 3 to 6. He'll give way to Cade Wassan and his Cash of Thousands for Louisiana Prep Preview. They'll get you ready for Catholic and St. Thomas More. Big-time showdown between the 225 and the 337 there. Then after that goes final, you'll have Louisiana Prep Scoreboard with Cade and his crew getting you caught up on all the high school football action today. So Fridays, we're live and local from 7 a.m. till almost midnight here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We've kind of done all we can do to this point. It's time now to go ahead and pick some football games. We'll start with the Saints and the Dallas Cowboys.
The New Orleans Saints, the Dallas Cowboys. It's time for Hunt's final pick.
So I had this one penciled in as a loss when things started out for the Saints. And obviously we feel a little bit differently today based on the performance. We don't know enough about the injury report. It's still not out. And Taliesin Fuaga not being at practice today is not a great sign. Marshawn Lattimore not practicing today is not a great sign. The Saints have to run the football. They have to run the football. They have to run the football. They could not do that at all last year, and everything crumbled around it. You got in too many bad situations on third down. You got in too many bad situations in the red zone, and you weren't able to do the things you needed to do to score points. If they can run the ball, and I don't care if it's if it's Kamara, I don't care if it's Williams, I don't care if it's Taysom Hill. If you can run it on these guys and limit that pass rush, the Saints can win offensively in this Clint Kubiak scheme. Question is, can they do that and will Fuaga play? That remains to be seen. The other side, I like the Saints defense against this Dallas offense. I think the Saints can match up with CeeDee Lamb and those guys on the outside. Brandon Cooks is a good player as well, but I think the Saints can match up there and then try to get up the field and get some pressure on a Dak Prescott that doesn't move quite as well as maybe he once did. I think this game is going to be pretty tightly contested, but I'm not ready to fully commit to New Orleans just yet. So I'm going to pick Dallas to win this game. I'm going to pick Dallas to win it 23-20. I'm a little concerned with those edge rushers of the Cowboys, and I think the Saints offense doesn't quite look as good as it did last week. But a 23-20 loss in Dallas is not the end of the world. That's a respectable performance, and just depending on how it looks, we'll kind of see. Matt will know more on his show about the injury report. I don't quite have that yet, so that's going off the knowledge that I have of today. I'll take Dallas 23-20 in that one. All right, time for the morning kickoff tomorrow from Columbia.
The LSU Tigers, the South Carolina Gamecocks. It's time for Hunt's final pick.
Look, we talked about this all week. So many matchups on the field to look at, and for LSU, I think you've got to start on the defense because that's the biggest question mark that you've got. Jacoby and Guillory being out in this game is a big deal. LSU is going to try to replace him with the different guys and do some different things. Paris Shand does not play like Jacoby and Guillory. I don't think that Jalen Lee has the ability that Jacoby and Guillory has. I don't know that Don McKinley's hurt. He can't play yet. Ahmad Bro's going to have to give you some snaps. But I don't think LSU replaces Jacoby and Guillory with just one guy and goes. I think what LSU does in this game is load the box. They're going to bring 7-8 defenders down inside that 8-yard box, and they're going to try to win with numbers against this running attack of Lenora Sellers and Rocket Sanders. And I don't know if they can do it, but I don't think South Carolina is all of a sudden, the greatest running team that ever happened. They got some big plays in the passing game on busted coverages against Kentucky, and they didn't move the ball worth a flip against Old Dominion. So I think LSU can slow them down with numbers in the box, and I don't believe Lenora Sellers is good enough to throw the ball consistently against LSU. Can he hit one or two nice throws down the field? Sure. Most teams have against LSU for 2 years. But he can't do what Miller Moss did. So I think LSU is going to be respectable on defense. Offensively, I don't expect LSU to find some running game. But South Carolina's entire plan defensively is to take those two rushers, Kennard and Stewart, and wreck the other team's plans in the passing game. And I don't think that can work against LSU. Will Campbell and Emory Jones are too good. That's not to say, as I opened the show with today, that Kennard and Stewart won't both get back there for a sack and another tackle for loss. They may have a rep or two here where they win, but they're not going to win consistently. And that is what they did against Kentucky. They just wrecked Kentucky's entire operation off the edges. Garrett Nussmeier is really good. He's not going to be intimidated by the huge environment, and LSU's wide receivers are better than South Carolina's DBs. I think LSU moves the ball just as consistently as they did against USC when they had over 400 yards, just as consistently as last week. It looks different than we're used to because it's a passing game instead of the run game, but Nussmeier's good enough to make that happen. I think LSU does function offensively. I don't think LSU goes in there and blows South Carolina out. I do think that the game is pretty competitive, but I do think LSU gets it done in the end in a game that, as I said, they have to have on Saturday. They've got to get this game to have a reasonably successful season. So my score, 33-24. LSU beats South Carolina by 9 points in Columbia. You come back against a bad UCLA team. You come back against South Alabama. You get to your bye, then you set up a big one with Ole Miss coming up a month from right now. So I've got Dallas winning a close one against New Orleans, and I've got LSU getting a 9-point dub in Columbia, South Carolina. Beck, how do we feel about those two picks?
I feel pretty good. I'm kind of in the same boat as you with both of those games. I had my pick on the website where LSU 31-24, I think. So yeah, I expect much of the same that you do. I don't really have too much to say about it.
It'll be pretty simple if LSU wins this game by 2 scores and you see Kentucky get mauled by Georgia by 40, and you can be like, all right, well, Kentucky's just abysmal and South Carolina's not that good, and that'll give you all the information that you need. So I'm looking forward to it. Morning kickoff. I'm about to head west. We'll do a pregame show from over in Kinder tomorrow. Looking forward to that, and y'all can catch us, as I said, at 9 a.m. If you missed any of today's show, you can catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your sound, you can always find us. Talk to LSU South Carolina to open things up. Preston Guy joined us as well. You can find all that on YouTube at Hunt on LSU. Set the table for the NFL slate with our NFL tiers. And I talked about the punt return game. Watch Xavier Thomas tomorrow. Just watch him. It's a good punter there for South Carolina, but he may give some return opportunities. Talked about that. We gave my SEC picks against the spread. Those will all be perfect as we anticipate. And then we did some take it or leave it and pick the ball game. Catch that on demand wherever you find your sound, or, of course, on YouTube. All right, that's going to do it for us here. We have done as much as we can on this Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Matt's going to drive you home on after further review from 3 to 6, and some high school football will follow. We're back Monday, same time and same place. Have a safe and enjoyable weekend watching some football. Hopefully the Tigers and Saints get it done. See you Monday.